Hello and welcome to Political Update. I'm your host, Christopher Devine, and today we have with us independent candidate for United States Senate, Bruce Skarin. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, Christopher.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, to start off, I just want to say how great I think it is that you're doing this show, you and the other students here at the school, because there's a lot at stake for younger generations in what's happening in Congress right now. And by way of introduction, I like to say that I'm running for three main reasons. The first is, as a father, when I look towards the future, I see a world of increasing problems and decreasing opportunity for my kids instead of the other way around. And as a scientist, I know that we actually have everything that we need right now to be creating sustainable solutions that have huge benefits for all of us. And finally, I'm running as an independent because I believe the system we have right now is broken for a variety of reasons. The first of which is what I like to refer to as the system of corruption that comes from money in politics, which has created this dependence between our representatives and a tiny group of funders, which I think is part of the reason for a lot of the dysfunction in Congress and why a record number of voters here in Massachusetts, over 53%, are now registered as independents because they can no longer identify with politics. So those are the reasons why I'm running and why I'm hoping to be able to represent this new majority that we have here in Massachusetts that really hasn't any kind of effective representation in Congress right now.
So what is your campaign going to do differently than those, than the majority, the Democrats and the Republicans?
Sure.
What are you going to do differently as an independent?
Right. So as I said, that first issue, I think, is what's created a lot of the problems that we're having right now. So to address that, I've capped contributions to just $15 a person. And I'm doing that because I believe that $2,600, which is the federal maximum, is not affordable. And if we're going to have representation, it needs to be affordable. And we need to have these citizen-funded campaigns where we can kind of turn the system on its head and collect tiny amounts of money from a large number of people instead of the other way around, which is what we have right now. And I think once we take care of that first issue, then we can have real meaningful discussions about how we're going to take on all the other problems and all the other issues that concern people.
Okay, you also say that your campaign has taken a new approach.
Explain that a little bit more. Yeah, so in addition to capping contributions at that level, I'm going to be taking a 1,000-mile walking tour of Massachusetts to basically go from town to town, meeting with voters, collecting signatures to get on the ballot, explaining my approach to politics, but most importantly, listening to people, because I think right now there's a huge disconnect between voters and Congress. This is, again, some part of the problems with that system is that they live in a world where they don't have to deal with the same kinds of problems, and that they're more concerned with this group from a tiny, the issues for this tiny group of funders. And, the more people that I talk to tell me exactly the same thing, that, that the leaders don't get it, they don't understand what the challenges are, and that their priorities aren't being represented. So I'm doing that. I'm starting this conversation both on the road and online, and I'm already collecting feedback from supporters that's telling me that indeed corruption is their number one issue. It's twice as important as any other issue, which no candidate is effectively dealing with. And then after that, at the top of the list, there are things like having top-notch education that is accessible to people both early and late in life. People want to see an economy that is not distorted by the crony capitalism that we have now, that allows companies to hand off risk to taxpayers or hand off the cost of actions to the rest of us. And they want to see an environment that is not getting pushed to the brink by an energy policy that is dependent on a finite resource that is only getting more expensive to extract and more risky to extract. So those are just some of the things that I'm hearing from people now. And those are just some of the ways that I'm going to use their input to help focus what I spend my time on and how I'm being responsive to what people want.